Because the problem for the government now is that they still have 210 asylum hotels around the country with 32,000 migrants in it, I think is the figure.
Parliament erupts as Sarah Pochin challenges Keir Starmer during heated debate. You're not going to believe what just happened inside Parliament because for once, it wasn't a predictable, rehearsed exchange. This was real. Moments ago, Sarah Pochin, Reform MP known for her no-nonsense style and independent streak, stood up and said something that left Keir Starmer, the leader of the opposition, visibly uncomfortable. It wasn't a personal attack, it wasn't a shouting match. It was something far more striking. She called him out right there, in the middle of the chamber, for what many across Britain have quietly been thinking but were too cautious to say. It all started during a tense debate about leadership accountability and trust in government. Starmer had been laying into the current administration, criticizing what he called a crisis of competence at the top. But when the speaker gave Pochin the floor, everything changed. She looked straight ahead, steady voice, and said, "It's easy to talk about accountability when you're not the one being questioned. The public wants honesty, not rehearsed outrage." That line stopped the room cold. For a few seconds, the chamber was silent. Then, murmurs. You could see MPs leaning in, some smiling, others shifting in their seats. Starmer's face tightened, not angry, just caught off guard. And that's when it erupted. Let's put this moment in context. Sarah Pochin isn't your typical party-line politician. She famously resigned from her local group after disagreements over how decisions were being handled, saying she wanted to speak for residents, not party headquarters. So when she stands up in Parliament and questions anyone's integrity, people listen. Her comment hit a nerve, not just because of what she said, but who she said it to. Starmer has spent months crafting his image as the responsible alternative to chaos. But critics from both left and right argue that his version of change feels scripted, cautious, almost too polished for a country craving authenticity. And that's exactly the tension Sarah Pochin tapped into. Within minutes, clips of the exchange began circulating online. One viral post read, "Finally someone said it to his face. Accountability cuts both ways." Another user wrote, "Parliament needed that reality check. Respect to Sarah Pochin for speaking the truth." But, of course, not everyone agreed. Starmer supporters quickly fired back, saying her comments were grandstanding and out of step with the serious tone of the debate. One Labour MP was quoted saying, "This is what happens when independent voices try to chase headlines instead of focusing on the issues." Still, the fact that the clip trended on X within half an hour tells you something. People are hungry for unscripted honesty, even if it comes with a bit of political risk. What makes this story so powerful isn't just that Parliament erupted. It's what that eruption reveals. There's a growing fatigue in British politics. Ordinary citizens feel trapped between two camps, one accused of chaos, the other of calculation. And moments like this, moments when someone breaks through the noise, feel electric. Sarah Pochin didn't accuse, she challenged. She didn't yell, she questioned. And sometimes, that's more explosive than any shouting match. Political insiders are already dissecting what this could mean. One senior journalist told Sky earlier today, "Starmer's biggest vulnerability isn't policy, it's perception. People still aren't sure who he really is." That's a polite way of saying the public likes the idea of competence, but not if it feels like control. Meanwhile, Conservative MPs, sensing an opportunity, quietly applauded Pochin's composure. A few backbenchers were overheard saying, "That's what the opposition needed, a reminder they're not untouchable either." Sarah Pochin, who is one of Reform UK MP, just shifted the tone of an entire debate. And that's no small thing. Now, let's talk about why this matters right now. Britain is entering one of its most uncertain political seasons in decades. With cost of living pressures, NHS strikes, and ongoing debates about immigration and national security, the mood is restless. Voters don't want slogans anymore. They want someone who speaks plainly, even if it stings. That's exactly why her words landed the way they did. When she said, "The public wants honesty, not rehearsed outrage," she wasn't just talking to Starmer. She was talking to every politician in that room. And maybe, to every voter watching from home. Starmer's reaction was measured, but you could tell he knew it was a hit. He paused, smiled slightly, and replied, Honesty, Councillor Pochin, is something we can all aspire to, including this government. It was an attempt to regain footing to turn the line back toward his usual target. But by then, the moment had already escaped him. Viewers saw what they saw, a rare challenge that cut through the theater and landed right on the man who usually asks the questions. As the day went on, political talk shows replayed the clip again and again. Analysts debated whether Pochin's words could mark the start of a broader pushback not against Starmer personally, but against the culture of polished, overly cautious politics. And the public? They're responding. Comment sections are full of people saying things like, "We need more Sarah Pochins," and "It's about time someone said it plain." Others warned, "Let's not turn honesty into entertainment. We still need results." Either way, the message landed. By evening, what began as a short exchange had evolved into a national talking point. And here's the irony. In trying to question Starmer's authenticity, Sarah Pochin may have just reignited interest in his leadership for better or worse. Because now everyone's watching his next move. Will he lean into openness and take on the criticism head-on? Or will he retreat behind carefully worded statements, waiting for the moment to fade? That choice could define how voters see him heading into the next election. One thing's clear. Today's eruption in Parliament wasn't just about a few sharp words, it was about a mood shift. The kind that tells you people are done with performances. They want leaders who speak like humans, and listen like them too. And as Sarah Pochin proved sometimes, it only takes one bold voice to make the whole house listen.